Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Monday, November 8th, 2021. It is now 7 o'clock p.m. and I will call the meeting to order. As always, I'd like to thank our commissioners for your time and input, especially during our study session tonight. I thought we had great comments and discussion. We'll start with item B, citizen comments. This agenda item provides an opportunity for citizens to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any matter that is not posted on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the commission should complete a citizen comments registration form and submit it to the chairman prior to the start of the meeting. There's a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak, with a reasonable limitation on speakers on one topic or item, with a maximum of 15 total minutes on the same topic item. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. The Planning and Zoning Commission is not permitted to take action on any subject raised by a speaker during citizen comments. However, the Planning and Zoning Commission may have the item placed on a future agenda for action, refer the item to the Director of Planning for further study or action, briefly state existing city policy, or provide a brief statement of factual information in response to the inquiry. Is anyone here who would like to speak during citizen comments on the item that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to our regular agenda items. C1. Consider approval of the attendance matrix of the Planning and Zoning Commission as presented and take appropriate action. As stated in the City of Farmers Branch Ethics Handbook for elected officials and advisory board members, all appointed members should make every effort to attend regularly scheduled meetings. Per ordinance number 3563 adopted April 2nd, 2019, any person appointed by the City Council to a board or commission as either a regular member or alternate member shall be automatically considered for removal by the City Council after such person has been absent from 2 regular or special meetings of the board or commission to which the person is appointed during any period of 12 consecutive months, which absences have not been excused by an affirmative vote of the board or commission to which the person is appointed. A comprehensive attendance matrix has been developed to keep record of these excused and unexcused absences. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the attendance matrix that's presented today.
I have a motion for approval from Vice Chair Giovanni. Second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bertle. All in favor? It is unanimous. Item C2. Consider approval of the October 25th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission minutes and take appropriate action. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
I have a motion from Commissioner Bertle to accept the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second from Commissioner Byrne. All in favor? It is unanimous. Moving on to the public hearing items, starting with item D1, conduct a public hearing and consider a request to adopt a multifamily development policy, amending the City of Farmers Branch comprehensive plans, which provides direction regarding new multifamily development within the city, including but not limited to guiding site layout, building location, density, open space, and building design, and take appropriate action. Kira McCardle.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kira McCardle. I'm a consultant to the Planning Department. This evening I'll be presenting to you the proposed multifamily development policy. The purpose of this item on your agenda is to conduct a public hearing, consider the multifamily policy, and make a recommendation on the multifamily policy to City Council. This policy has been in development since 2019, and it was developed at City Council direction. What we're looking to, the goal of this policy is to provide guidance and set some clear expectations for a number of users on what the Farmers Branch would like to see in terms of multifamily development. This policy, if adopted, will be a amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, and will be used, comprehensive plans, sorry, I should say, and will be used alongside the comprehensive plans when, mostly when applications for new zoning requests for multifamily development come forward to Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission. But also later, they will also be used at a site plan stage as well. What we're looking for over time, if this policy is adopted and implemented, is that we will see high-quality multifamily development that's appropriate for Farmers Branch being built and developed within the city. The policy is divided into 5 sections. The full policy was included in the packet. I will go through each section briefly here, and I am available for any questions at the end of the presentation. The introduction section presents the goal and the desired outcomes of the policy that I just reviewed. Also, this section of the policy is where sort of the mechanics of the policy are described and laid out. It describes to the user how to use the document and how it should be used in evaluating and developing proposals. We do intend, the main users that we intend to use the document are, of course, staff. We would like to see developers using this document at an early stage prior to applications being made, and when requests are made or inquiries are made regarding multifamily development within the city. We do intend to share this document with developers so that they are using it and it's informing their development process. And then, of course, the Planning and Zoning Commission, yourselves, and City Council will use it when they're evaluating applications for zoning that are in front of them and before them. It also describes the relationship to other plans that the city has. And as I have already described, it's envisioned that this plan will be used in tandem with the city's comprehensive plans to evaluate multifamily development. And in one last item that has been added to this section before, since the last time this plan was before you in July of this year, is we have added a section on plan review. Staff is proposing that the multifamily policy be reviewed every 3 to 5 years. And in this review, 2 things will be looked at. If any gaps have been identified within the policy, we can make amendments to the policy to ensure that whatever was missing is addressed. And second is, should the City Council's direction regarding multifamily within the city change, we would be able to make any amendments to the plan to reflect the City Council's direction. In terms of location, there is a section, section 2 of the plan does describe, it gathers information from the city's other comprehensive plans regarding where multifamily may be appropriate within the city. There are a number of areas in the east side that have been identified as appropriate for potential multifamily development. The station area, of course, has been a priority for the city some time, as well as the I-35 corridor district. I-35 corridor vision study identifies an extension to the station area on the west side of I-35, and also the Four Corners area of the city within the central area plan. These are all areas that have been identified in previous comprehensive plans and by council as priorities for multifamily development. This section also does talk about citing multifamily in such a way that it's not an island of multifamily, as a multifamily should be surrounded by other existing or proposed multifamily development, and also where possible citing multifamily development with surrounding services and jobs, so that as a city, we can work towards attaining a live-work-play balance for our residents. In terms of density, the plan does propose a minimum density of 55 dwelling units per acre across the city, and a raised density of 65 dwelling units per acre within 500 feet of major highways within the city. I would like to note here that these densities that are proposed are in line with applications that we are currently seeing in the city for multifamily development. But the city is looking to move away from garden-style multifamily development. That has been the direction that has been received from council, and these densities would preclude that garden-style form of development from being developed in new development within the city. In terms of site design, there are a number of subsections within site design. It does talk about, and site design deals with how the different elements on the site are placed on the site and how they interact with each other, and also how they interact with the rest of the city on the outside, or the public realm, the streets and the sidewalks and adjacent properties. So we do discuss building orientation, how a multifamily development is placed within a relationship to the street. The direction is that new multifamily development be located adjacent to the sidewalk with very little setbacks, along, and has a real street presence along the most major street along which it's sited. In addition, there's a requirement that each proposal that comes in has a minimum of 150 square feet of public or private open space. The policy does strike to seek a balance between the two. But there is some room for discussion between the developer and the city on that matter. In terms of parking, there is a preference for structured parking that is within the policy, and it does provide direction in terms of siting that parking, whether it be structured or surface parking on the site. Landscaping is really directed by, the amount of landscaping is directed by the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the city. However, this policy does provide direction on how landscaping can be best used within a multifamily site. So whether that be separating two uses, providing screening in certain areas where screening may be needed, or enhancing certain areas, such as entryways within a multifamily site. In terms of sidewalks, we talk about the importance of connections within a site between different amenities and areas of a multifamily site, and also, perhaps more importantly, those connections with the public realm. So connections to the sidewalk or any pathway system that may exist in nearby or adjacent to the site. Lighting, there's importance placed on a human scale to the lighting, and within the site, in ensuring that it adds to the safety of a site as well, and that it is appropriate, and that the rest of the site and the building design is taken into consideration. In terms of service areas, there's a direction related to service areas, is that service areas be sited in a way that they do not create a nuisance, either for the residents of the site in the multifamily development or adjacent sites or adjacent parcels of land. In terms of building design, direction within this section, which is the last section of the plan, is really related to how the building itself is constructed. So we do talk about building scale and using a number of these tools to aid in the aesthetics and the scale of the building. So trying to have a human scale so that the building is not imposing on the street, but it feels approachable to pedestrians and passersby in vehicles. So building articulation and modulation, this is actually stepping back parts of the building or having parts of the building protrude. It can make the building feel more aesthetically pleasing and approachable. Windows, ensuring that windows are framed in such a way that they are aesthetically pleasing and not institutional in their appearance. And also on the ground level, if you have non-residential uses or residential uses, trying to ensure that the amount of windows makes for a human scale environment for pedestrians that are passing by, and trying to avoid things such as blank walls to the largest extent possible. Building entrances, there's a desire to create entrances to the buildings that have a presence on the street. So have some additional landscaping, street furniture, public art as is appropriate around building entrances, so that they become a feature of the site. In terms of building materials, this policy does provide some direction. However, recent state legislation prevents the city from providing too much detail on direction regarding building materials. We do, however, encourage developers to use 2 or more materials in the building of their site. And we also do encourage that the materials that are chosen by the developer be long-lasting and durable. As any new multifamily development comes into the city, it will be with the city for some time, so it is in everybody's interest that it be long-lasting and durable, a durable quality material. We have reviewed some existing sites within the city in comparison to this policy to test it out. I've put some of the results here. They are summarized because to go in detail would be a lot for the purpose of this presentation. So the dwelling units per acre and parking and amount of open space provided, we have reviewed with City Council and P&Z at the July 12th joint meeting. The building location and ground floor orientation, as well as building materials and entrances. These are new sections that we have evaluated a number of sites for to see if they're meeting the intent of the policy. For purpose of this meeting, I've used a sort of a green light, yellow light, red light evaluation of sites. So as you can see, many of the developments within the city are meeting the intent of the policy. Where you do see a yellow light or yellow dot, what that indicates is that it may be meeting parts of the policy or on that parts of the recommendation, some of the recommendations on that subject matter or within that section, but it may not be meeting all of them. And where you see a red dot, that indicates that and through evaluation that site was not meeting the recommendations within that section of the policy. Now, to provide a large asterisk on this, this policy was not in place when these developments were developed. Also, as is outlined in section 1 of the policy, each site that will be developed for multifamily within the city is different and may have its own limitations. So it may be that some sections of the policy are impractical or impossible to have the policy implemented on them. And that's okay. If the developer cannot meet a section of the policy and there's a rationale or the site cannot accommodate it, that staff would be understanding of that. However, I should note also that when staff is using this policy, should it be apparent that many of the recommendations made within the policy are not being met, and it appears that they could be met on the site, in the opinion of staff, it may cause staff to make a recommendation that the proposed development or zoning amendment not be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission or City Council. To summarize, in preparing for this public hearing, this draft policy was circulated to 6 multifamily developers who currently do have an interest within the city. We did have a meeting with one developer regarding the policy, and we received written comments from them as well as from another developer in addition to them. This public hearing was also advertised in the Dallas Morning News as it is a legislative requirement. And the comments that were received from the City Council and Planning and Zoning Commission July 12th joint meeting have been addressed within the proposed policy that's before you today. Staff is recommending approval or adoption of the multifamily development policy as it's before you today. And that does conclude staff's presentation, and staff is available for any questions should the Planning and Zoning Commission have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Kira. Commissioners, any questions for staff? I'll start with Pat, and we'll just go down the line.
No question.
Vice Chair Zavala.
No questions.
Commissioner Brittle.
No questions.
Andy.
No questions.
Bonnie.
No questions, thank you.
Amber.
No questions, thank you.
Super. Marcus.
No questions, thank you.
And Roger? None. All right. Thank you, Kira. This is a
Thank
public hearing. I will now open the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on this matter, please come forward to the dais, state your name and address for the record. Seeing that no one is here for that, I will now close the public hearing. Commissioners, any final words, comments, thoughts? Is there anyone online? No, sir. All right, super. Commissioners, I will entertain a motion.
I will move to approve.
I have a motion from Andy to recommend approval of the multifamily development policy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Brittle. All in favor? It is unanimous. This goes to council November 16th. Thank you, Kira. Great work.
Thank you.
Moving on to public hearing item D2, conduct a public hearing and consider the request to amend Plan Development District Number 53, including but not limited to the amount and location of allowable signage on approximately 12.20 acres of land described as Lot 1 and 2, Block B, Dallas Parkway International Place Addition 2, and Lot 1, Block A, International Place Addition 1, and take appropriate action. Sarupa.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I thought I didn't have to share. Can you all see the presentation on your screen?
No.
Okay. All right, I'll share it. Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Thank you. So the area on the aerial map on this photo here on your screen, shaded in green, is the area for plan development number 53, the area zone PD 53. That's the location for this zoning amendment application. It's about a 12.2 acre platted lot, commonly known as the International Plaza. The good thing about this PD amendment is it's a small area that is zoned PD 53, so this amendment does not impact any other properties other than the International Plaza, the 3 office buildings, and the structured parking, that whole complex. So the request in front of you tonight is for a zoning amendment, in particular in regards to signage, the amount of allowable signage, as well as the location of wall sign on the office buildings. These are some of the site photos that shows which building is particularly being requested under this, for the additional signage under this amendment. So these are the 2 graphics showing on the right-hand side, this is the current elevation or the kind of the front view of the building where you can see the Trinity Industries sign on the top portion, as well as on the left, this particular photo is an artist rendering showing how the signage might look like if this PD amendment is approved. So the current signage allowance under PD 53, as we were discussing briefly during our study session, is pretty restrictive and also very specific. So any building or wall sign in this particular case, which has the 3 office buildings here. So any building, 2 elevations or 2 facades are allowed to have signage, only 2, not the 4. So each of the elevation are allowed to have only 2 wall signs, and together the 2 signs can cover up to about 500 square feet of maximum area. The location of the signs on the building, as you can see from the Trinity Industries, it's roughly about 20 feet below the roof line, and not higher than about 45 feet above the finished floor elevation for the ground floor, so roughly around this area. So when this PD was drafted or this office complex was originally designed and envisioned, the location for signage at that time, what they felt appropriate was those 2 locations, the 2 signs, not to exceed total 500 square feet. The proposed amendment in front of you, the reasoning behind, we have received an application from a major employer trying to relocate in this building, the particular address being 14221 Dallas Parkway. This building is parallel to the DNT, set back a little bit from the freeway. That way, visibility for this low brow portion where signage is allowed is almost non-visible. So unless you go higher towards the building facade, you won't be able to see the signage. So this major employer, one of the criteria they have for the relocation is to allow signage in somewhere in this midpoint area as shown on this graphic on the left. And the amendment would allow addition of that one additional sign on that particular facade. So we are not adding multiple elevations to gain more signage. It's just that one particular facade is going to get one additional wall sign. And the total square footage under this amendment, we are increasing that from 500 to 700 square feet to accommodate this additional signage. And of course, that would, the third part of the amendment is the location criteria to allow that approximate point location on the elevation. From a comprehensive plan standpoint, this is part of our east side comprehensive plan, which designates this area as the corporate commerce. So of course, the development is in compliance. It's a multi-story office campus type development, which is recommended by the long-range plan. However, for signage standpoint, we don't have any specific recommendations or guidance in the comprehensive plan. From staff standpoint, this application is consistent, given that it allows the marketability and addition of 300 more jobs to the city, as well as the location and the amount of square footage is appropriate for this particular land use as well as the building. As required by PD 53, our zoning ordinance as well as state law, we have sent notification letters within 200 feet of the subject property on October 28th. We have received no correspondence regarding the zoning amendment. Staff recommends approval of the zoning amendment. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer. The applicant is present here tonight if you have any question for them in terms of the signage. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarupa. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, any questions for the applicant? No, all
I do
right.
have one.
Yes.
Just on I believe in the study session noted that the design of the sign would match the one that's already there. But I note that the new sign will be linear facelit versus fabricated aluminum. And I was just curious as to what the difference between those two is, and will they still, from a design standpoint, will they still look the same?
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. I'll let the applicant answer that question as it's particularly the type of signage.
Hello, how are y'all tonight? I'm Chris Taylor.
Can you state your address also, please?
I'm sorry?
Address?
You want my home address or you want this address?
Either one,
Yeah,
business is correct.
I'll just give the building address, 14221 Dallas North Tollway.
Thank you.
So the question to your signage, so actually at night, they're gonna look identical because they're both white lit. It's just the dark sign, when we put it against the glass, you couldn't hardly see it. I don't know why it gives that reflective appearance, but when we tried to put a dark lettering, you really just couldn't make out the wording. So we worked with SSC Sign and Lighting, who did the whole signage package for the entire campus, and this was their recommendation so that you could actually see the sign from the tollway. That was the reason for the difference.
Which is the reason for the sign, right?
Yes, ma'am, so that you can see it, actually, absolutely.
I also have a question.
Sure.
The floor that the sign is on, is that the actual floor that
It
Mr.
is.
Batteries will be on?
Well, they're gonna have three,
Right.
so yes, sir, it's right in the middle of their space.
Okay, super. Any more questions for the applicant? Right. Yes, Andy.
This is a super bonehead question.
No questions are bonehead questions, so it's all good.
What's the point of having the sign? Are you hoping people will drive off the tollway and come on in and do business, or?
So so corporate America like this, and if you've been at the corner of 635 and 75, they have two major signs, this particular company, and branding is huge. I mean, they're a, global brand, a US brand.
Right.
And it's for recognition, frankly,
And I hate to interrupt you, but I drive by that every day, and one of those interstate battery signs has been pulled down.
yes.
Is it going to be trucked over here?
No, sir, this is the sign that we'll have.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so they're pulling down signs because they're moving out of that building,
Well,
or they're just pulling down signs?
they're gonna move out of that building.
Okay.
So this is public forum, right? So I want to be careful what I say, because I know they have further discussions with you all.
Okay.
But yeah, obviously, it's a global brand. This is their corporate headquarters, their US headquarters.
Okay.
And so companies like that want a sign on the building.
Got it. Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brutal? No questions? All right, this is a public hearing. I will now open the public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to speak on this matter, if you come forward, state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone online? Sure. All right. No one is here to speak, so I will now close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion.
So first of all, I hope this works. We're glad to have Interstate Battery in Farmers Branch. Yeah. So I move to approve the PD 53 special use permit.
I have a motion from
Amendment.
Commissioner-
Amendment request, yeah.
I have a motion from Commissioner Bertle to recommend approval of the zoning request. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second from Commissioner Byrne. All in favor? It is unanimous. This goes to council
November 16th,
November
next Tuesday.
16th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we're excited. Let's cross our fingers. This will be exciting for Farmers Branch.
Super. We're excited too. Item D3, public hearing D3, conduct a public hearing and consider the request for a specific use permit amendment for on-premise sale consumption of alcoholic beverages within a qualifying restaurant or facility for an approximate 6.85 acre property located at 14221 Dallas Parkway, and take appropriate action. Sarupa.
Should I guess why Commissioner Bertle was chuckling? That this is finally the SUP application that everyone tries to bring back.
It's a good one to end on.
Yep. So I'm not going to get into too much detail. We talked about it, as you all recall, in the last meeting. Same location, 14221 Dallas Parkway, 6.85 acre platted lot. The request is pretty much same. The existing SUP had in the part of the ordinance the hours of operation as 11 to 6. The applicant is trying to extend that from 11 to 6 to 10 to 8 every day. And that was the original request, unchanged. You'd notice the change in the exhibit that will be part of the new SUP ordinance is clearly depicting what the total floor area or square footage where people can consume or have on-premise consumption of alcoholic beverages. I have taken a lot of photographs on site, and they're part of your packet, which shows this lake house building where the applicant can pull a catering permit and serve alcohol, beer and wine. And this is the ground floor of the 14221 Dallas Parkway building. As you get inside, there's a lobby, then the cafe or the bar portion where you sell the sell for on-premise consumption of alcohol is located, as well as additional seating both inside and outside the building. These are some of the photos. That's the lake house building, the top left corner photo, part of the same lot. These are some of the seating areas at the back of the building, right next to the parking garage. This is the actual cafeteria, which the original SUP ordinance showed that cafeteria location on their floor plan, where they can sell alcohol from this bar. These are some additional seating in the front of the building. There are more photos, as I mentioned, in your staff packet for the building interior, showing the total seating area. From a comprehensive plan standpoint, they meet our comprehensive plan recommendation for corporate commerce in a land use standpoint, and also the goal to encourage social interaction. On-premise consumption of alcohol serves that purpose. Staff recommends approval. We re-notified this project because we are bringing it back to you all for tonight. So we re-notified, and we have not received any other comments or any comments on this application. We recommend approval of the specific use permit. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Sarupa. Commissioners, any questions for staff? Commissioner Brittle? No?
It was for the...
Okay.
Questions
Yes,
for the
staff.
applicant? Yeah. All right, if the applicant come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Okay. Hi, Reagan Ozeta, 14221 Dallas Parkway.
Commissioner Brittle.
Well, I was thinking, why didn't we do this last time? Because this is now a good idea. But I do have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
What a gorgeous place Lake House is. And so is that open for public use? Only for the residents of the building.
For building
That's
2
too
and
bad.
building
It's a
1. it has-
gorgeous spot,
Isn't
but-
it? Yeah, it's for,
yeah.
you have to reserve it in our room system in the building.
Okay, got it. No other questions.
Andy?
Because I get to talk to you one more time,
Oh my gosh, yay.
have you reconsidered your choice of local beers for your facility?
Well, I actually, someone actually asked me about that this weekend. I'm looking.
Okay.
It's a matter of, you know what it is? It's a matter of supplier issues.
Certainly,
You know,
certainly.
and so I did have 8 cases come in on Friday, and all 8 of them showed up, so that was promising.
Okay. Port of LA is down to 7 days rather than 10. I'm sure you'll get your beer from Mustang Station by then.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other
perfect.
questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. I will now open the public hearing. If there's anyone here who would like to speak on this matter, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone online? Sir. All right, since no one's here and no one's online, I will now close the public hearing. Commissioners, I will entertain a motion.
I will move to approve.
I have a motion from Andy to approve the specific use permit. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Brittle. All in favor? It is unanimous. This goes to council
November 16th.
November 16th, the magic date. With that, I believe we have exhausted our agenda, and so it's time to adjourn. 7:36 PM, I will close the meeting. I would like to ask all the commissioners to stay so we can take a picture.